Johnny Fairplay is not in his house tonight. He has some stuff going on, but Dan, you, myself, Alex Trias are here to talk. This is one of Johnny's, I think, favorite words. Penultimate episode of Survivor season 45. I really can't believe we're almost to the finish line. I don't know if you guys feel this way. I feel that before I started podcasting about Survivor, that it just, I don't know, like it seemed like it like went on like a longer time frame or something. Like I just feel like I can't believe that it's already like the end of the show. Like a minute ago, it seems like we're like talking pregame or who our picks are going to be, and then it's just like the end. It just seems to fly by. At least for me personally. It's totally different, like doing a podcast versus watching and not doing a podcast. So Johnny's been doing, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I agree fully. Ever since you guys had me start podcasting on season 41, I feel like these seasons go by so fast because like I blink after we finish a podcast and it's already Tuesday. I'm like, oh crap, I have another podcast to do the next night.
Yes.
And because it's just like how we watch the show, it's so much different than just watching it as a fan or as like a former player in your experience, Matt. And so it's exciting to get to the end of this season. I really enjoyed covering this season, and we'll obviously break down this episode because as all of our viewers will know, I'm thrilled with the end result of this episode.
Yeah, so you are not a Drew fan.
Well, so
right?
let me break it down for the people here. Is my big thing with Drew was more so a big thing with the audience, and I want it to be normalized that it's okay to have villains on the show that you can root against.
Yeah.
And Drew was that person for me. He was a villain. He played like a villain because he played not him in real life, but him as a player. He was cold-blooded. He was just like, these are the moves. I don't give two shits about you. You're going home. Like, that's how he was playing. And I'm like, I respect that, but I'm going to root against him the entire time. You need that. You need that in Survivor.
He almost had a little bit of kind of 1.0 version of Spencer Bledsoe, where he came in, he understood the game, he was very cerebral with everything. But when it comes to human connections, reading people and connecting with people on a deep level, he's just not there with it.
I think he's there if he's rocking with you. If he's rocking with you, if you're in his alliance, you're good. But as soon as you're no longer in that alliance or you are a target of his, he instantly shuts down that social game that like was doing him well until people start getting voted out. You know?
Well, I feel that my opinion of Drew, and we saw it tonight, is there is amongst his like crazy analogies and big words that he uses in his confessionals, we saw him get bummed out about not getting picked, and it said to remind him of, you know, being in junior high or whatever and being the last one picked because he was a tall, skinny Napoleon Dynamite nerdicon. So I feel that he's there's a lot of insecurities that I feel that Drew has. And I feel that as much as he puts on this facade of confidence, I think he kind of probably has this battle of, you know, I'm on the verge of my insecurities and my confidence. And I really hope that this game has taught him to be more confident and that he can. I mean, making it to the final 6 is pretty badass. And I honestly feel bad that he's gone because I know how tight he was with Austin, and he even was kind of reminiscing like, I want this to be like, you know, Jervis and Tyson or whoever he was talking about.
Jervis and Tyson.
JT and Steven, Jervis and Tyson, like the dynamic duos of the game is like in his world that's what was going to happen. And maybe Austin to an extent outside of his thinking with the other head for D, which, oh wow, I just realized more jokes there. But anyway, you had these two people that like had this final two connection. They were so confident in it, and but more so Drew was like overly confident in it. And maybe part of that was just like he wanted that. It wasn't even that he was confident in it. He wanted it to be real, because if it was real, it validates so many things to him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know this got to be a big blow for Austin. I mean, he's got to be like really.
His win equity just went down.
I've talked about it on the past 2-3 podcasts we've done now. This just keeps reiterating that there are no good players on the season.
There is one. There's one clear and above the rest.
I don't even think D's that good of a player. I think what we saw tonight is D's clearly going to win. I see no way that she loses this game now.
So, I don't either.
But it's just, I don't know. I just think that you look at everyone there, and it's the big shocker, and we'll get into it more. It is Drew going home, and there's something I want to talk about with Austin leading to it, but we'll save that till we get there. But you look at it, and we've been begging for something for Jake for weeks now, and he's surviving as best as he can, and I'm rooting for him because I'm like, oh, this would be a cool underdog story. And then we get halfway through this episode, and he starts talking about resume, and I'm like, no, this isn't what we want.
You can't blame him for what Survivor has done to these people. They believe that this is something that has to be said and thought about.
Both him and Katora, they're like, all right, it's about time that we make a move. And it's just like, this is incredible thinking. Like, finally at Final 6, you want to start playing. This is like the trust fund kid that, is like 30. Like, all right, time to make my first million. Already got it. Like, they're already second to last episode of the game. That isn't the time to start playing.
Well, You've seen people win on the end game, though. Like, we have seen people win on the end game. But going back to your point about D, I'm gonna make like a little comparison here, because I see what you're saying, because you're like, well, D's doing stuff, but like, look at the field that she's playing against. You know who else had a similar thing like that? Kim Spradlin.
No,
Kim Spradlin controlled the entire game at flocks of people just wanting to work with D or with Kim. We have this season, everybody wants to work with D. Every single week, we hear what D wants to have happen, and the end result is we see that D gets what she wants.
The fact
not that anyone
you're
else
comparing D to Kim, you should wash your mouth out with soap. They're nowhere near.
No, I'm here to have takes. I'm here to have takes.
Nowhere in the same stratosphere.
Give me 5 stars if you on this podcast, wherever you're listening to this, if you agree or disagree with my take here. 5 stars. It has to be 5 stars, though.
I'm starting writing up all my Anissa content right now. It's going to be lit on Sunday.
So let's start.
Be a Jordan hater.
Let's start at the beginning. Yeah. So back at camp, Emily went home last week, and it was awkward. Julie, got saved, and she's wanting to still hide her and Dee's alliance because no one really knows about this. So they're kind of giddy about that little secret deal. And then we see Austin very happy that he still has his amulet, which he has to use this episode either on himself or, we should have used it on Drew, dude. But I get it. I would have probably played it for myself as well.
Yeah, without context, you have to play it for yourself. It's not the right move, obviously, but we know way more than he does.
Yeah. So, and then, we start to see, Dee and Austin just kind of talking on the beach. And Dee, she is becoming, I know what you had told us, Alex, that Drew is a villain. I feel like Dee is a villain. She's like,
oh no, she is.
She's like lying, or you're swearing on all these family members' lives. She's like lying to her boyfriend, more or less, Austin, which we see them holding hands and shit tonight. She is cutthroat, and the thing I admire about that, I think she's overrated. When it comes to this season, I think she's doing pretty decent, but I also don't find, I don't know, I'm not trying to dog on the season, but there's not a whole lot of really cutthroat strategic players playing the game right now. As we see, Dan, they're just now trying to make moves and maybe we should do a big blindside now, you know?
Well, I was saying my pushback more to that if you want to say, okay, like it's Kim Spradlin, you know what position Kim Spradlin never was in, where she had her hand forced because, hey, we're going after your number one and you're only getting it. In one world,
and what
Kim
happened?
Controlled everything.
And what happened?
She controlled it, but Kim would have never let the shot been shot at Julie to begin with.
Do you know how much of a badass it is for her to just go into her voting booth and just go like, play your fucking idol? And like she controlled Julie. Like we have comparisons on the challenge of people calling themselves Geppettos, you know.
Please don't bring his
with
name
the
up.
Pinocchio string. She has Julie and Austin and all these people just like she's toying with them. Like she's literally being the villain, playing in their face, telling them this is what's going to happen. And they're like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I want. It's actually what Dee wants, but I'm doing whatever I want. You know, it's just, she has control. And I agree with you, Matt. Dee is a villain, but how I see it and how I see like most viewers see her is she, as opposed to Drew, who is a villain that you're rooting for the downfall, Dee is a villain that you're like, I can actually, it's a rootable villain because you're just like, I'm seeing someone who's being controlling, conniving, but like having fun with it.
And I respect her game. I respect that she is saying in confessionals, like, I'm having trouble with this because I came into the game being like, I'm not going to let relationships or emotions and my morals take control because this is a game. And she pretty much is, unless she kind of like falls apart, dude, like next episode, she's the best player out here by far.
Even if she goes home, it's similar to season 41 where like heading into finale, all of us were like, well, once Ricard loses an immunity, he's gone, but that doesn't really necessarily say that he is the worst of the people that are remaining in the game by the time he goes. It's like, I think I sort of put it as a similar parallel here just because of how and this is only based off of the edit and what we are able to see. And if you look at everyone that's left, Austin has won a couple challenges here and there, but like, I don't feel like has heavily influenced the vote. I think personally the jury probably sees him the lowest of the Reba 4 before Drew goes out. Like Austin was the lowest in terms of win equity of how he was viewed. Julie had some win equity because of how people are perceiving her and her social game with them. But once again, is being controlled by someone else who's being more of the face. And you can't really win against that. And then you have Jake and Katura, who are the goats, quote unquote. Like they could still do something in the end game that could sway favor, but that involves having to take out Dee and Julie.
Yeah. I like Katura too. Like none
she
of
was
these
my winner
people
pick. My winner pick's still in.
That's great. Who was your winner pick, Dan?
I missed pregame. I started saying it was Dee, but that wasn't until like week 3 or 4. So we're not going to count it. But I was in a different country, so I missed the first 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Excuses.
But one thing Katura is doing is she gets up early in the morning. This is now the morning after the tribal where Julie played the idol, and she's like, look, there's got to be an idol out here. So she goes looking. So I give her props because everyone else is just like sleeping. And then Dee and Austin realize, holy shit, where's Katura? Let's go kind of chase her down just to kind of keep an eye on her and just see if she finds something. And then when Katura's looking, kind of Austin walks up and kind of surprises Katura. And Katura just says, look, I don't want Julie to find it because if Julie finds it again, then, you know, she's safe again. And so I don't blame Katura. Good on you for doing that. And then we see a conversation on the beach where Julie and Drew are talking about trying to mend this Reba 4 alliance. And Drew pretends more or less, oh, yeah, I see a route forward in doing this. But, of course, he doesn't feel like there is. And
So
I don't think Julie, was down with it either, obviously.
So question for you too. No, I believe Julie was down for it.
You think she was
realized
down?
She realizes
It's
that
desperation.
Drew is not going to do it.
Yeah.
But like they make it very clear in this episode where she's like, between last episode and this episode, she's like, I want to make moves. The Reba 4 isn't a Reba 4 anymore. But then in the same breath, she's like, but the best move is for us four to go to the end together. And she's like, it's not about friends, it's about taking shots. But her go-to move is consistently being like, but what if Reba 4 came back together? So, like, do you agree with Julie that, because her mindset is the end needs to be 3 people of the Reba 4, because I would assume her logic is if either Jake or Couture are sitting there, the jury would be bitter and would vote for the person that wasn't part of the controlling alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I feel that Julie is, I guess, trying to, do whatever she can socially with Drew and others. Dee is her friend, so she's at least playing the game. That's what I like. Like, as much as like I wasn't like thinking Jake even was some like amazing player throughout the whole season, he's overcome a bunch of stuff. He has a good story, and he is trying. Like, he's playing the game. He wants to do well, and everyone I feel that's in the game at this point all wants to be there. Unlike the losers that have quit earlier this season, and which drives me crazy still. So I love the fact that they all want to be there. Now it is a little kumbaya-ish,
it's old school. It's old school vibes. It's
it's a new era though, dude.
I know it's a new era, but it's giving old school vibes. So the old school fans should be loving this. A controlling alliance pagonging the minority, and the minority that are getting these uplifting confessions about how I'm gonna try to overcome the odds. It's what they wanted.
It was pagonging and more kumbaya, but you still had conflicts like Jerry and Keith back in Australia. Like, you had plenty of those. But I get what you're saying, but going back to Julie, what's weird is I think getting the Reba 4 back together is the last thing she could want, because I don't think she could win in a Reba 4 scenario. I think the only way Julie has a chance at winning the game was she can say, hey, I idled out Emily, and then she needs to take Dee out and be like, it's Dee is the reason that I knew that information, and I knew, and as much as we've been lockstep this entire game, I know she's my biggest competition in this game. So I'm going to take her out, and I'm going to go there with no one really from Reba unless it's Austin. And I think that's her only path of winning the game. If she goes there with Dee, anything that she tries to say, Dee can say, well, no, you did that because of my intel.
So I think that's also a credit to Dee's game, where she's been a dominating force in this game, but within her own alliance, all of them have, like, for one reason or another, have lowered her threat level in their mind. So, like, I think that's just like a bridge that in Julie's mind, she's like, I don't need to cross that one because I truly was riding with Dee, so I will go to the end with Dee. Dee's the only person. She is the reason why I'm still in this game, type of thing. Austin is the Amber to her Boston Rob. And yes, I am mixed. I'm switching those dynamics because that is the dynamics.
What's crazy about that is when the season started, because it was obvious from the beginning that Austin was too naive, and it was like, ooh, I thought from the beginning, he's going to get blindsided hard. And I thought it was going to be Drew was going to be the one that was going to screw him over and advance himself in the game. This story arc coming out of nowhere, that it could be Dee that drags him through the mud and puts the final nail in his coffin. I didn't see that coming, but I'm there. I'm here for it.
Ooh, I could see her beating him in fire making.
Something like that.
I would love to see. I would love to see it. I would love to see it, or like some sort of like big toe challenge or something like that.
She won the challenge again. Anytime she can use her feet, she wins.
Involved.
I know, dude. She didn't have her foot on it. She just had like her big toe just stuck up there, dude. So we're here to the reward challenge time. You got to jump off these buoys, go to shore, get a barrel stood up, and you kind of walk along the barrel, but you're allowed to guide yourself with ropes hanging from above, collect some keys, and then it's a slide puzzle. And the reward is a picnic lunch in the middle of the ocean on like a sandbar, basically, and you're taken by helicopter for this. And this is a different kind of challenge. That's why I actually enjoyed
both
the two challenges tonight, because they were fresh and new. They weren't the same puzzle that we've seen that Carson was memorizing. These are new.
And now selling.
Yeah, and they were simple. And as a former player, I'm looking at these and I'm like, wow, like I would like to do these. I think that the immunity challenge looked like total hell. I thought that would have sucked. But this reward challenge, I feel like I could have done well on it. And Austin kills it the whole time. He's in the lead throughout this challenge. He wins it easily, the slide puzzle. So we don't need to talk about details except for the fact that Austin wins, and then he gets to pick someone. A picnic alone is boring. So he immediately picks his girlfriend, D.
He could not have had that word come out of his mouth any faster. I don't even think he was going to wait for Jeff to even say it. If D.
Oh yeah,
helicopter. And then I'm sure he turned over to Jeff and be like, do I really need to take anyone else? Like, can I just leave the rest of them at camp? Jeff.
I'm sure that's what he wanted.
He was probably disappointed he didn't have the enclosure of the sanctuary. Finally, they switch it up to go someplace.
Oh yeah, death to the sanctuary. Death to the sanctuary. 2 episodes in a row. It's done.
He ends up picking Katura to go as well because he wants, Drew and whatnot to babysit what's going on with Julie and Jake at the camp. So Drew though is bummed. Feels like back in I guess middle school. He says, when I was always the last to get picked. Wah wah wah.
Very pick me girl energy.
What's so crazy? I don't know about you guys, but on Survivor this happens quite often. On Survivor Caramoan, it was brought up when, if anyone's familiar with my season, you have the cool kids in the ocean, and they're like, this is just like back in high school. The cool kids, and then it pans over and it shows like Michael Snow and I. First of all, every season people like talk about I was bullied in high school, right? And I was picked last in middle school or high school. Dude, I never even fucking think at all about high school or middle school. I don't give a fuck. My life, I literally have to, I'm a 49-year-old man, and I have, friends from back in high school and shit, but I've done so much badass shit after high school ended. I don't even would never make a confessional about back in high school, the girls didn't like I just don't know why on Survivor people reminisce over it all the time. Every fucking season, dude. It's weird.
I will say for them, they're like closer to their high school years. So it's like something
that must be what it is.
It's something still like formative to them.
Because I'm basically you're saying I'm old as fuck is what
I never said those words.
I'm fucking old, dude. Fuck.
No, but I see what you're saying. And like, hey, any of us could talk about high school and be like, oh, those like grade school years, they were the fucking worst. I was the odd man out. I was the outcast. I was whatever, the nerd, whatever. Like, but I would rather like look at it sort of like how Austin like looks at it later on, where he's like, yeah, that stuff happened. Like, but now I have so much more confidence in myself. Like, focus on the positives of what the negatives of those type of years give, instead of just really honing in on, oh, they never picked me. Like,
I feel like it's pretty common because, for most people, at least somewhere in high school, they had a low moment. Let's talk to the people that peaked in high school. I don't think they're having the greatest time right now.
They won't tell you that. They won't tell you
like
that.
they're working for their dad's insurance broker and still live at home, or I don't know. Like the people that peaked in high school generally are not the ones that you hear from. And so I think it's just a way that it's a confessional that you kind of get to tell that underdog story and get a little poor so me, like this is what I've had to overcome in life. And I think it's an easy storyline for people to throw out there. And because it's relatable, because everyone had, like I said, had a down moment somewhere in high school.
I will say this episode in particular, though, especially with Austin, Jeff was very pointed with some of his questions here, like really digging into like the strategy of decisions instead of just having it being like a little more open ended. Like he was like, Austin, please tell me in direct detail in a 2,000 word essay why it is that you're gonna pick this one extra person.
That's because he knew Austin was. That's because he knew Austin was stupid enough to answer it.
All I was thinking in my head, I'm like, Johnny would have just given him non-answer and just be like, Katura. Oh, well, why? Katura.
She deserves it.
Well, I mean, and he knows that Katura was looking for an idol back on the island. He probably doesn't want her to find it.
And like Austin does give good logic of like based off recent events these last few rounds, these three people back at camp aren't going to like suddenly join forces. Like they could still go out and look for stuff potentially, but that's why you have Drew down there. And Drew should truly understand that he needed to be back there. You can't bring your number ones on every single reward. You need to have this split of someone that you trust with you on reward and someone that you trust back at camp. And then you let the rest deal itself.
Yeah, and of course he's bringing the pretty one D and not his buddy Napoleon Dynamite. It's obvious here when we show them in the helicopter, the camera is, panning down to them holding hands, and Austin's got his hand on D's thigh, and they're having a great time. Katura feels like a third wheel, and she's noticing this, kind of thing that's going on with Austin and D.
Honestly, Katura's hilarious. Katura's hilarious here. She's like, man, I was just like so excited, but then I see them getting a little closer to each other. They even get down to the sand spit, and the first image that you see is Austin just pulling the plate to him and D, and just like away from Katura. She's just like, but I love her attitude about it. It's like, sure, be in love. I don't care. Let me keep thinking about the actual game. Y'all, Austin, you get distracted. Get distracted by the hot woman in front of you.
My favorite part, I think, of this entire episode is when the helicopter flies by the beach and Drew is so bummed and he's like, life is so unfair.
Oh my God. Jake's
so
just like,
dude.
Hey, we're on Survivor. Isn't it great? And the deadpan, just like slow turn of his head. It's like, you know what I did these last few days? I scrubbed a dirty dish to try to get burnt rice off of our stupid pot.
It's very Rodney from Dirty 30 doing dishes on his stupid birthday. Like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh yes,
the Dirty 30, dude. I like that. That's fun. So yeah, the picnic on this sandbar was called a sand spit. Is that what it's called?
Sand spit. I want to say.
I never heard that term before. It looks awesome. And then here's where they break the fourth wall type thing. You hear the producers asking D in a confessional about Austin, and D kind of is all giddy. I feel smitten about it. And then we show it a confessional with Austin, who says, look, I would have been, intimidated by someone as beautiful and cool as D. And he starts talking about, him being like a fat kid with braces and then had real bad acne, and it shows some past stuff. And then you see him today. So it is crazy how people change. I mean,
yeah,
Austin's a stud now.
Austin really did the work.
He did. Yes, sir.
And to be fair to Austin, I over this past week, I may have seen someone who looked so much like someone that he's interested in on this current season of Survivor, and I get it. I get it.
What were you saying? What are you saying?
I may or may not have seen someone who looks exactly like
No.
the person that Austin is head over heels over on this
Yes.
current season of Survivor. I don't know where.
Yeah.
Couldn't have possibly been in the state of Florida. But
Yeah.
You saw Drew?
no, he lives in PA. And
Does he really?
I've yet to see him.
Wait,
Wow.
he actually does?
Well, he goes to UPenn.
I forgot where he went to school. That makes sense.
I remember stupid stuff. We know this.
So back at camp, while everyone's having this picnic, Jake is looking for idols. He ends up finding a clue, and it basically says, "Look, it's at your tribe raft in a secret compartment." So he ends up going over to the raft and strips down to his underwear. I guess he's stating
Likes
that
to talk about how he's in his underwear.
I did it in a play once. The play was great. Okay, back to the game.
Yeah, that was awkward. Like, what was that all about? I didn't quite get that.
I couldn't stop laughing during it. Like, if all else, I hope that Jake looks back at this and be like, at least I was entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. So he ends up finding the idol, and this idol says it can be used. The last it can be used when there's 5 left.
Final 5.
So we go from that scene to the immunity challenge time. This is the new one. And the record for this for the Dream Team was 21 minutes. And it's really simple. Balance on one leg, use your other leg or toe. If you're D, you're using your toe to put up on the wood beam, and you're balancing a ball that's kind of on the other side. If the ball drops, you're out of the challenge. And I mean, right away, within 2 minutes, we have Julie out, then Jake.
It's all about wood and ball management.
It is all about wood and ball management. I mean, ask Johnny Fairplay. When he was in Florida in that Speedo with King George, it was all about wood and ball management, just trying to, there's a photo going around of who was it? It was King George, Jam, and Sandra's daughter. Nina, all kind of like looking toward Johnny's wienerage area, and I can only imagine what they were thinking. I personally wouldn't be caught dead in a fucking Speedo, dude.
No, and Fairplay did ask me why I didn't bring mine, but to live another day.
So you were down the whole time down in Florida, Alex?
Yeah, I was down there
and stuff.
I went to a few of them.
So how was it?
They were a fun time. I definitely recommend people, especially if it like becomes like hearts again. But like first, like shout out to Johnny and Leslie Neese, Tanya Vance, Wendell and Bryce, like all the survivors that really made this experience happen. In lieu of hearts, they did a tremendous job. They deserve all the kudos in the world, and everyone was so incredibly nice, and it was a very fun time. But when it's hearts again, hopefully next year, I definitely recommend you to go down there to see all these people and see them as the actual human beings that they are.
Did you meet Jam?
I did meet Jam.
How was Jam?
He was good. He like I didn't have a long conversation with him.
Was he friendly?
Yeah. He
was cool.
He's one of those guys where it's like when he's on, he's on.
Yeah. And then who else was there? King George. Did you meet him?
I did have a nice conversation with King George.
How was he?
He's everything as you expect him to be.
He is? Okay.
Yes.
Was there any disappointments in anyone you met, or?
Truly no disappointments from me. I had some pleasant surprises. I met Nasir and his wife from season 41, and he might be one of the nicest people I've ever had a conversation with.
Yeah, you can tell. I am Nasir.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
this is Nasir.
Yeah, he seems like a badass. Well, that's so cool that you got to experience that.
Absolutely.
How fucking cool is that? So yeah, this challenge ends up going past the time that the Dream Team did it in, which is actually pretty cool. And Jeff even says, look, at this point, it is between D and Austin. This is not about
The record.
yeah, this is about winning immunity. And of course, D, who I feel probably does yoga because she did not move the
At
entire
least
time.
Pilates.
Mhm.
So she's like solid as a rock, and so she wins. Second time her winning immunity, and she does make a comment about, oh, it's so cool, like beating all a woman beating all these men, which I do think is cool. However, Austin's really like Drew or Jake. No offense, we've seen a lot of challenge beasts. I believe if there were other competitors from other
Right.
seasons, maybe she wouldn't be winning, but maybe she would because she was rock
Who's to
solid,
say?
dude. She
Yeah.
was fucking killing it. She is a
loved
badass.
her. I loved her just like because it was also with Austin. I loved how much shit she was talking to him. Every single time there was the tiniest move, she would just start yapping his ear off. Just be like, huh, so you're not so steady anymore. What's wrong with that, Austin? Like what's going on? Are you tired? Are you tired? Do you need to put your foot down? Like I love just like how much shit she was talking and while also like talking her shit while doing the shit. It's just like,
dude, this challenge
like,
is gnarly. I would not be able to last this challenge very long.
But could we also use this to also highlight, because I know a lot of people complain about how short immunity challenges are now in terms of duration of actual time. If they're making challenges where the production team, like that specialists that are eating and fully hungry or not hungry, like they're fully of their sentences and they're only going 20 minutes. They want these to be shorter, people. We ain't getting the 5 hours holding your hand up in the air anymore.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
right.
But
yeah, this is killer. So good on you, D. Drew, I will say, when he was hopping around like crazy trying to save himself, mad props to him. I was like, oh my God, like, how is he still in this?
He stayed up way longer than someone with his body type should have stayed up.
Oh, dude, yeah. So, Jake basically, this is after the challenge. Jake says it doesn't help his game to vote Julie. Jake wants to blindside Drew. Julie is down because Julie is like kind of like anybody but me at this point. Strategy. And Jake goes to Katura. We talked about this earlier. Just about trying to like build their resume and make some moves and do something for the first time, like on a scale of resume building. Now, when did the whole resume? I mean, you guys know better than me. Early
33.
seasons of Survivor, we didn't hear the word resume.
Millennials versus Gen X.
Adam
was Will Wall.
Oh no, Will was the one that said it first. Yeah,
Will Wall was the one, like the bucket list, or like the resume, because he was a high schooler. People.
So we went 30-something seasons.
The thing that just makes no sense is that every episode it's just, oh, so-and-so's the biggest threat. Like all we heard for the past 2 episodes was Julie's this massive threat. If she gets there, she's gonna win. And now it's, well, Drew's the biggest threat here. If he gets there, he's gonna win. There's never any context thrown out for
no, there's never any context.
This is why this person's the biggest threat.
It throws me for a loop with how this season how they talk about the threats, because it's like for the reasons that like they don't win the game. Like Julie is the threat because mom. I'm like, when was the last time mom won?
Yeah.
Not a mother winning. When has mom won? Like, they don't.
Yeah.
They're always the 0 vote or 1 vote finalists. Like, that is their end game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they should win, but they don't.
Right.
Drew, I'm like, I get it in the sense of like people, like the perception is he's the brains of the operation, but like, you see how he talks. You see how he talks to the people that he doesn't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
I would have him at the end. because I would at least say nice things to the jury.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can tell just how he
And I won't
talks that
do
he would.
soliloquies talking about ancient Roman mythology for every single thing, every move that happened, every blade of grass I saw on the island, you know?
Well, if you've seen Drew there, is I'd purposely, you get him to the end, you goat him into making him uncomfortable because you know what he's going to do. He's going to take a shot at someone on the jury or start going at them and blow up his entire game.
Exactly.
Do you think Drew is going to give, with his big words and all the stuff he says?
He will.
On Final Tribal,
least twice.
He's going to be wearing a bow tie and practicing his, speech for 15 minutes, before he goes out on there. And I hope,
you know what?
I really hope we get a well, I know Johnny's told this on the House of Villains. I hope he screws it up and he does a Bobby Lights and goes, take 2. And he goes back and he's like, all right, nailed it. That's the question I wanted.
Well,
I don't know. We know that as he says, he doesn't take notes. No, we're not learning lessons. No notes are being taken.
Yeah.
I see Julie and all I see is my failure. So I need to do something about it and just do it again.
So Drew honestly thinks that Austin will play his amulet idol on Drew if need be. And I'm thinking, man, I would like to see that. But Dee, she doesn't want to lie to Austin about how she wants to vote. And this is where she's talking about that moral dilemma. And but yeah, she is cutthroat because she's still not letting Austin in. And I feel that Dee, she's got to win this game. And I feel that even afterwards,
that's the best result.
Yeah, and I think Austin will forgive her for all her stuff.
I need that answer though, because you could easily tell me that Dee did tell Austin and said, Austin, you're not doing anything about it. And which is just as much of a power move, being completely controlling Austin as opposed to leaving him out. But that's what I'm curious is when all this comes out is, did Austin really know or not? Because when you see, at Tribal, you do get like a wow. But if that's one of your biggest numbers in the game that you thought, I know for sure where all these votes are, and I know what Dee's going to do, I would have expected a larger reaction, which makes me think that maybe there was a conversation that Dee kind of just put Austin in his place and said, you're not going to do it. This is what you're going to do. Sorry.
Why would he play his idol though for himself? Why would he even bring it out?
Because he didn't want to hold on to it.
Yeah, just
I don't think he saw the value of like holding it till final tribal council day. And I didn't even need to play this. He was like, worse things. I think in his head is probably like worse things come to pass, and they are all trying to blindside me. I don't think I need it, but I might as well play it on myself because if I did need it, I would kick my ass if
like Bruce. He saw Bruce not play this idol.
That could have been a factor.
That's happened twice this season. You can't be the third.
But also, I need to go back to Jake. Yeah. And so, like, Jake gets his idol. Obviously, his intent is to do whatever his big move is at 5. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure his big move isn't on D, but actually, like, we're going to blindside Julie. And that's going to be his big move.
Well, he did say that in tonight's episode that Drew and Julie were the two he needed to get out of the game.
Right, and I think that's a mistake on his part. But instead of doing that, he's like, I know this has already failed with someone that I'm relying on. That is the reason why it has failed. But I am guaranteed we can do a 3-3 vote, and then I can convince someone to not go to rocks and take out Drew. Like, come on, man. You put that hand on that stove. You burned your hand. You had 3rd-degree burns on that hand. They're still recovering. Why did you put the hand there again? Why did you think it was a good idea? Why?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
But I love the fact that he's like, I can trust Katura Katura is like should be down with the plan. She won't tell D. And once again, I feel bad for Jake here because it's like he's the Charlie Brown of the season. He's the Owen of the season. And they immediately cut to D and Katura going, 1, 2, 3. We're voting out Drew. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Jake just wants to ride the lightning. That's all he wants.
Is he the Simon without the comp wins?
A little bit. Like he's like the dollar store version of Simon, and at least comparable because he doesn't have the high. I don't think he has the highs that Simon has. And he has some of the lows. I don't think he's quite gone down to that level, but I think it's a US version of Simon. I could see that.
You know, he hasn't put the idol in his butt yet, so.
But he did put it in his crotch, so
he did put it in his crotch.
It could sneak around.
Oh, not that. Not that. But
So
I think that does get to tribal.
Yeah, we go into tribal council. You know, Julie kind of talks about being babysat. Austin said that it was a strategic move by doing what he did, obviously. And then Katura basically is like, look, we all love each other. We're like all one big happy family. And this is where it is like kumbaya. Everyone gets along, but they're all playing this cutthroat game. And, you know, D says here that alliances are not necessarily all locked in. But then Drew's like, I feel like my alliance is pretty locked in. I'm curious as to why Austin didn't really pick up on this more and think, is D going to vote out Drew?
Because Austin can only look at D. I think he, at this point, he's so one-track mind that he can't. I don't think Austin's doing a lot of multitasking.
Only one head can have full charge of his memory right now and attention, and it ain't up here. But you know, let me give a a Drewism here. You know, Drew is Icarus, and you know Icarus would always fly close to the sun, but this time he flew too close to the sun and got burned.
Well, he also talks about he also talks about limbo and how Survivor is like he's the king of analogies, and Jeff Probst loves analogies, and
he loves analogies. All this I hate him.
Yeah, he's Jeff Probst loves him. So does Drew.
Spent so much time thinking about the Roman Empire. Just more Survivor, man. Just more things that are more relatable.
Yeah, I agree. I some of the things that comes out of Drew's mouth, I'm just like,
it gives graduate student. It truly does, because it's like, but only thing you have going on is like a bunch of papers and essays to write and dissertations or whatever. Like you're only thinking about this type of stuff.
Well, I completely agree with that, because once you get past that level of education, like wherever you're like, I'm going to use this big word that no one really knows what it means, and it's going to impress the hell out of everyone. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you're going to want to drop that at some point. Like that is,
these
that is
words
not going to make you cool.
No, I mean, like I said, maybe just because I'm old.
This is America. Dumb it down.
I'm just like,
you dummy.
These words, I'm not impressed. I don't care.
America.
It just proves that you're a nerdicon. Like, I don't know. I'd rather hang out with Johnny Fairplay and hear him talk about stupid dad jokes. Congrats,
people are clearly wrong, and that's all right. Like,
join the train. Join the train. I am a prophet.
I'll assume everyone else that didn't comment that is on my side, and we'll just go from there.
So we go to the vote. The votes come in. Does anyone want to play an advantage or an idol? Austin stands up and talks about how he found this amulet way long ago and how it now has the power of an idol. And he plays it on himself because he does not want a souvenir. And Drew is gone. Drew is pissed. And I believe Austin is completely flabbergasted because, as Dan said, or Alex, one of you two, like
Sure.
he's got a one-track mind of D's nuts in his sight. And yeah, so sorry to see you go, Drew. D, you have it in the bag if you can make it to the end.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it because, like I said,
So
all these people are playing. I'm not pissed. Anyone's better than Gabler winning. So like I'm
which
fine with
also
whoever wins.
we make fun of Gabler, but kudos to him for like officially wrapping up the donating of all $1 million or roughly all $1 million to all those charities.
We brought up Gabler, and it's that same dude. I can't think of his name. That's been in the comments for 2 years now, just being like, "Well, Gabler's like a top 5 winner. Like he'll fucking in 3 days he'll be commenting this somewhere."
He's a mid winner. But hey, you get to say you're a winner. But that leads us into the finale. Like we're finished with the penultimate. It's time for the ultimate episode. So are we all on the same page that we all think that Dee's winning?
I think she's winning.
Think though, unless she loses at fire, which would mean she obviously doesn't win that final immunity and loses at fire, I see no way that she loses because I don't think she's really in danger at 5 because they're doing that, classic. Oh, we'll put it in the preview for next week. Like D probably isn't going to get any votes at the final 5. So if she makes it to 3, I think she wins. But let's just say something
she goes.
funky does happen. Who's the next best pick of these remaining 5? So I'd honestly have to think about it.
So I truly believe, because I said it in my group chats tonight, they were like, who's winning of this final 6? And I said, I will list it to 3 people. And based off what we've seen on this show and how they're edited, more importantly, the 3 people that I could see winning this game are D as the front runner. But if she were to go out, it will either be Katurah or Jake.
To win?
To win the game.
Wow. See, I'm a dumbass because I would have said Austin or Julie.
I don't know what it is about Austin. Like, I could totally see him ultimately getting a win. I think he needs no one from Reba there in order to win.
And you very well could be right because I think Katurah is a much better player than what we've even been shown on this season.
We know that based off interviews.
But I struggle with seeing her win when all that she's had this season has been, I hate Bruce. My whole sole mission is to get Bruce out. And then when Bruce goes, she has 4 or 5 sobbing scenes. She doesn't really have a story of showing what she's done in this game.
Right.
And I think that there's footage there to show that. I just think because we haven't seen it, that's where I struggle thinking that she would.
But I think that's why I'm more confident that Dee's just going to win outright. It's because the more investment we have had of the other 4 is Jake and Katurah. Julie has been very under-edited, and most of her stuff was just about core 4. And just like how she would react to like situations, I'm just like, it doesn't really give winner vibes. But then again, Gabler won. And like Erica has won. Like we can't fully trust what the edit's showing, but I'm choosing to go in that direction. And I just think Austin has shown to be a little bit gullible. If he wins, I'd be very happy for him. But their edits don't really scream winner of Survivor.
Jake has the underdog story.
Jake has the underdog.
I was a fat kid. I passed out multiple times early on in the season, and I overcame all this shit. And then I finally, at the end of the game, said I need to do some stuff to boost my resume. I find an idol. He's been entertaining. He has a beautiful story. So based off of literally thinking about it, I think Jake has.
He probably has second.
Jake has the best chance of winning.
I'd just like to bring something up because I want Jake there at the end. And I think that's solely because I think he's going to give a hilariously bad jury pitch, because we've seen him try to pitch at Tribal and it's been awful. And I could see that blowing up in his face as well.
Yeah.
If that happened, though, I'd be so happy. Not because, I want things to go bad for Jake. I just think it would make it more entertaining. And I hope he does well, but I just don't see it as of right now. But I'd love to.
Well, guys, we're winding down. The penultimate episode is behind us. We are to the final 5. Is it a 2-hour or 3-hour? Is it 3 hours?
Probably going to be the same as what it has.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's
hours, but
it'll probably be 2.5. I think they've been doing 3-hour finales where it's like roughly 2.5 of actual finale, then 30 minutes of the, or maybe a little over 30 minutes of the
reunion show thing.
Reunion on the island that I truly do not care for, because it does not give any of the players time to actually watch it back and understand context.
I can't stand it. It's like pizza party on the island.
And you know what? I wanted a live reunion to see if we could convince Austin to pull a full Murphy and do a proposal on finale night.
Yeah,
but we are robbed of that opportunity.
He comes out with an "I Love D" shirt, just like Amber did.
And then Johnny will try to steal that shirt.
Oh,
with
dude. Well, we love you all. Thank you for listening this season, and it has been fun. And this cast has been decent. And Drew,
90 minutes episodes.
Yeah, 90-minute episodes have been great. I've enjoyed it. I haven't felt like, oh god, this is dragging.
There's only been one episode all season long where it felt, potentially 2. To be fair, I got to see one of them on Paramount Plus, so it could have been that one. 90 minutes have been a success. Very rare of an episode where it felt like it was dragging its feet too much. Allowed a lot of people to have way more confessionals, a way more screen time, where I don't feel anyone has been like purpled like they did in 60-minute episodes.
No, think about the 5 people that we got left. They've all had a shitload of confessionals. I mean, I know Julie's been under-edited, but I've still seen a lot of Julie.
We've seen enough of her, yeah.
Yeah, Katura, like they all have had decent amount. I know a lot about each player that is still in the game, and certain seasons of Survivor, I could say, I don't know who the fuck is this, right?
Well, you could say that for most of the cast, which is great. Like, we really got to know everyone. I mean, going back to maybe like Jay Maya is someone that we didn't see a ton of, but she was the 5th one out.
Yeah. But
so
that was
everyone that made the jury, and then even some of the pre-jury, like Sabaya, we got to know so many of these people, which has been so different.
And Sifu, Jemiah was like the Indian chick, like pop singer, right? So so I remember the players that, like you said, and typically I don't. I'm like,
who was the 5th one out in 41?
Yeah,
couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
I have no clue. But listen, people, if you want to meet Johnny Fairplay, he is going to be in Los Angeles, California next week for the finale week for both shows of Survivor and House of Villains. So you can go to survivortix.com or villaintix.com. It takes you to the same place. And you can get tickets and information for both of those events. If you're anywhere near there, go support Johnny. This has been a whirlwind for him being back on reality TV after such a long hiatus from Survivor and stuff like that. So it's been really fun for Johnny. So any support he gets is always very much appreciated. I know he loves his fans and really loves reality TV. And so go to survivortix.com. And Dan and Alex, do you have anything pods that you guys are?
We will be back this week to cover the challenge. Thank you, Dan, for letting me have a week off to enjoy my time in Florida. But we are back to cover last week's episode and tonight's episode of the challenge.
9.
Yep, of challenge season 39, Battle for a New Champion. It'll either be on Friday or Sunday. We'll let y'all know.
There you go. And we will see you next week right here. for the finale. And we love you all. Cheers, everyone. And have a great one. Yes.